Welcome back to Sunlight Sessions, where we bring light and health into the conversation. And today, I episode is such an important one, especially for women over 40. We're talking about something that many of us are silently carrying every single day, and that's chronic fatigue, or not fatigue, but chronic stress, which will lead to fatigue. But chronic stress is a topic. This isn't just about a feeling overwhelmed. I think it's about what it's doing to us long term and like our just affecting our whole being, because the truth is that what has worked in our 20s and 30s probably won't work in our 40s, if I'm not wrong. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest today. Many of you have seen her before, heard her before, but she is Ariel Jarvis. Ariel is a holistic practitioner, the CEO and director at Vitality Wellness World. She's passionate about getting to the root cause of symptoms, not just masking them, and empowering both men and women with practical, sustainable tools to support their bodies, balance their hormones, and just feel like themselves again. Ariel, welcome again to the show. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Raman. I'm so excited. And today is going to be, I am so thrilled for today's topic because everyone will benefit from today's conversation. So once again, you're going to need to get a pen and paper, take notes, or you're going to want to save this video for later.
Excellent. So let's dive into it. Let's start with the simple stuff. So when we talk about chronic stress, what does that actually mean in our bodies? Like, I know we feel it, but what does it mean? What is our body telling us?
So what people don't realize is that stress is not bad. Stress is actually what causes us to grow and develop. It develops our character, it develops our immune system, it develops our bones, it develops our muscles. So you go to the gym and you do compounding efforts and you develop, more muscle mass because of your work. Well, that was stress. Even though you felt good because of all the endorphins, it's still stress. So there's good stress and bad stress. Bad stress is going through a traumatic event, an emotional event, or having a physical illness, or not knowing how to regulate your nervous system. And that's super important. And so we're going to touch base on the nervous system, because what people don't realize is that you have your conscious brain and you have your nervous system, and they're actually two separate entities. And so with your brain, we have different types of thinking patterns and behavior and characteristics about our thoughts. But what people don't realize is that just because you're resilient, or just because you think positive, or you have a wonderful routine, maybe you have a wonderful wellness routine, and you have a positive outlook on life, but maybe you had a couple tough years. Let's say you went through a grief or a loss or something tragic. Maybe it was something in your childhood or your 20s, your 30s. By the time you are a mature woman in your 40s, what people don't realize is that your body keeps score, and your body is like a computer. And your brain might have actually developed the ability to compartmentalize that trauma and move on. But your nervous system is like that inner child, that little girl that can't move on. So she gets stuck in a negative feedback loop. And your nervous system doesn't take a break. It's operating 24/7, and it's collecting data from all your five senses, and it's deciding if this is safe data or if this is something that's destructive. And it's like a scale. And the more you stack the good stuff, the more the bad stuff is no longer dominant if it was a 1-to-1 ratio. But if you've had a lot of suppressed emotion that you didn't process, it stacks in the background. And that actually throws off the frequency and the harmony of your nervous system. And that creates a physiological effect. And it hits you like a wall in your 40s because your body keeps score. You can have the best diet, the best hydration tactics, the best workout routine. But if you don't regulate your nervous system and you don't learn how to deal with the things that are compounding in the background and the different types of traumatic events, or the different types of destructive behavior that maybe your personality operates out of, then what you're actually doing is you're training a negative feedback loop in your nervous system, creating chronic inflammation. That is actually destroying electrons. So what happens is you're creating free radical damage and oxidative stress, aging your cells and destroying your mitochondria, leading to chronic fatigue. And now all of a sudden, you start getting more and more tired. Why? Because when your nervous system is all jacked up in a negative feedback loop, what does that actually do to your minerals? 100 trace minerals for your nervous system, it
Depletes it.
depletes them.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you start losing magnesium, but you're taking magnesium, but you haven't treated your nervous system. So what's the point? Now, all of a sudden, your sodium and potassium is off, and all your trace minerals in your water that you're putting, you actually can't absorb properly when your nervous system is all jacked up. Now, let's say you haven't had a lot of trauma in your life. Let's say you haven't had a lot of like dysregulation. Remember, your body doesn't know the difference between good stress and bad stress. So being busy isn't a flex. We talked about this.
Yeah.
People that overstack their busy schedule from the minute they wake up to the minute they go to bed, and they're just go, 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 that's actually a form of self-abandonment, and you're abusing your nervous system. Your brain might love it. You might love operating out of that because you're getting a dopamine hit and you feel satisfied because you accomplish a lot in a day. But you also need to be mindful about regulating your nervous system throughout the day, because eventually in your 40s, it does catch up with you and you do lose a lot of minerals when you're constantly on the go, and you don't have some sort of rest and reset put in place. And so you have to be, if you're going to be a high performer, you have to have times where you rest and reset so that your body can catch up and reduce that oxidative stress and reduce that cortisol that is rushing through your tissues and eliminate that cortisol out of your body. Running on cortisol and adrenaline is not healthy, but we do it all the time because it's productive. But that doesn't mean that that is going to help you with longevity. Stress is the leading cause of death. Why? Because people don't know how to regulate it out of the body. And that's what we're going to teach you today.
Okay. So you talked about cortisol. You want to talk more about it and like what's actually happening during chronic stress with the cortisol levels and
Absolutely.
how it's affecting the other hormones?
Yes.
Okay.
So in your lower back, you have little adrenal glands that look like little hats and they sit on top of your kidneys. And they secrete 4 hormones: epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline, and cortisol. Now, when you're waking up in the morning, you will have naturally a rhythm to your cortisol, and that is supposed to be naturally with your own biology. But what happens is, unfortunately, people don't always have a healthy lifestyle or healthy habits. They don't go to bed on time. They don't eat properly. They don't hydrate. They over caffeinate or overstimulate. They're overstimulated with electronics, or they always feel like they have to do something. And if you're someone that can't sit for very long and just be present, you're actually extremely dysregulated. Your nervous system is like not happy. So what happens is, as your body's constantly secreting cortisol and adrenaline, which on the quantum frequency scale is a destructive frequency. So there's a constructive frequency and a destructive frequency.
Okay.
Destructive means it's stealing electrons, creating free radical damage and oxidative stress. It's acidic. And the root of aging our cells is oxidation. It's like rust on our cells. So that's why people don't smoke. That's why people don't have, unhealthy habits. But having a poor relationship with your nervous system is also an unhealthy habit, because you're constantly burning those cortisols through your body. And what happens is cortisol has a pH of 5. Your tissues have a pH of 7. What's it doing to your tissues? In some cultures, they will not eat meat that is not kosher and has not gone through a spiritual process where there's no cortisol. Why? Because cortisol creates acidic tissue. Well, what's it doing to your tissue? What's it doing to your heart? What's it doing to your brain? I'll tell you what it's doing. It's pulling out all the minerals, preventing you from absorbing all that wonderful nutrition from those beautiful meals that you're doing. And it's actually creating oxidative stress and an acidic environment in your blood, which is supposed to be 7.35 pH. not when you got raging cortisol 24/7. And then people wonder why they start to get tension in the body, in their neck and shoulders. They feel like they're aging. No, your fascia is actually holding the state of your nervous system.
That makes sense.
So your aches and pains are actually from a dysregulated nervous system, but you just didn't know because it's been building up in the background over time. And when you're in your 40s, your nervous system catches up with you.
Yeah, I feel like it's catching up. I'm not there yet, but I will be. But I do feel it. And
Yeah.
is that what the term burnout is about? Like when you, like, I feel like people often, use this word interchangeably, like, oh, like burnout and chronic stress. Is that what is happening, or is it just two
So
different things?
great question. So chronic stress, if it's emotional or if it's intellectual, what can happen is your body will store that information in your nervous system. And over time, it will actually impact your absorption rate. So now your body's like a wilted flower.
Mhm.
And then over time, people will usually develop poor habits
Yeah.
because we always want to offset stress. So nutrition goes down, exercise goes down, hydration, more screen time. This is just statistics. When people are stressed, people take less good care of themselves. They don't take good care of themselves. So then the stress, of course, increases. So you have more than just one lane happening. Compounding stress over time, if it's not dealt with and you don't have uh, a nervous system regulation tactic, then what happens over time is your body goes through a stage where it actually breaks down and gets weak, and your brain can no longer compensate for the dysregulated nervous system. And so you actually don't have the ability to regulate your nervous system anymore. And so you need to have a nervous system wellness routine so that you don't prevent this. Burnout is emotional.
Okay, so it's
It's
not
not
physical.
it's not physical. Fatigue can be physical,
Yeah,
but burnout is not physical,
it's
it's
emotional.
emotional.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah,
And then can chronic stress also impact, like, let's say, your thyroid hormones? Like, I know it can impact your metabolism, but
it can impact every single cell in the body.
okay.
Chronic
Okay.
stress will create oxidative stress to every single cell. You have 75 trillion cells, they turn over every 25 days and they recycle and renew. But if that recycled material is garbage because you haven't been taking care of yourself, you're going to go downhill real fast. And so that's where you need to have a healthy routine to take care of the body. But we also have a nervous system in that body. And if you don't take care of the nervous system, have you ever had a bowl of fruit and you have one bad apple and
Yeah.
it's rotten? What happens to the rest of the fruit? They all go rotten.
Yeah, they all go bad. Yeah.
So if your nervous system has gone rotten, what happens to the body? It goes rotten.
Yeah.
So you
So then,
cannot have quality of life if you don't have a healthy mind, a healthy spirit, and a healthy nervous system.
how would a woman in her 40s help her nervous system? How to, like, I know there's meditation, there's, mindful thinking and breathing techniques. Is there something else we can do?
Absolutely. So one is called neurofeedback, and this is a scientifically proven medical device that regulates the nervous system using PEMF technology, PEMF therapy, and anything that is reducing oxidative stress in the body and causing your body to go into the parasympathetic state. You need to get yourself into the rest and digest state whenever you feel like your body's getting jacked up. So after a workout, after busy grocery shopping, after a busy phone call or a busy schedule, for people that don't let themselves rest and relax, will start to develop unhealthy habits internally. Things won't communicate properly. So that's where, when you are, for example, going to bed late, and now you're rushed in the morning, you just put yourself into fight or flight. You just created so much free radical damage that was unnecessary. And I always question my female clients over 40 because they're so busy taking care of everybody else, but I don't understand why they don't take care of themselves, and it's actually because they don't feel worthy. So there's an emotional component because as a child something was programmed where they don't know how to accept a compliment. They don't know how to accept a gift. They don't know how to not abandon themselves and let themselves rest. And there's always an underlying reason why, and it has to do with their self-worth.
Like
Because
complete sense.
because their performance is where they feel love.
Yeah.
The more they do for others, right? Taking care of their kids, their partner, their house, all these things,
Yes.
go, 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 rush, rush, rush. And then what happens is you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
So now they get snappy, they get cranky. Why? Because they didn't take care of themselves. What do you do when the plane's going down? You put the mask on someone else? No, you put the mask on yourself.
Yeah.
But why are the busy moms and all the busy women over 40, why are they not taking care of themselves? Because they've trained their nervous system that everyone else matters more. So that's where I get them to give themselves permission to not stack their schedule, to take a lunch, to be okay with the self-care. The self-care is actually not stacking your schedule and not feeling like you have to get everything done in one day. You don't have to be super mom.
Yeah. There's no flex in that.
No, it's literally going to destroy your nervous system and that your whole family will feel it. Your family will actually feel when your nervous system is regulated, and that is actually a gift. I always say the best gift that you can give your kids is regulated parents.
Does nutrition have anything to do with this chronic stress? Like how?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So when we're dealing with nutrition, we have to understand that your hormones require water, minerals, essential fatty acids, and amino acids. So, eating a balanced meal and your stomach's the size of your fist. So, if you overeat, that can also stress your body. And if you undereat, that can stress your body. Fasting is not for everybody, right?
Yes.
So I encourage people. I'm not against fasting, but I don't think it's for everybody, especially women over their 40s. I do believe in never leaving the house without at least 3 or 4 small meals. Um, it's one of those things where it's like training yourself and training your nervous system that you're going to take the time to nourish yourself properly with clean nutrition, not grabbing junk food or grabbing fast food. A lot of people will grab a coffee, leave the house, drop the kids off, go to work, do all these things, and they forgot a lunch. Lots of women, and I see almost 100 clients a week, and I can't tell you enough how many women don't eat in the day. Why? Because they're so stressed. They don't take time to eat. So what do they do when they get home? They're starving by the time they get home, and they eat everything in sight, and now they're pantry surfing at 11 p.m. and now they can't sleep because their body's digesting, not sleeping, and they've created a poor habit. And that one habit can be detrimental to your nervous system and to your health, and that will actually create more stress in the body because you're not taking care of yourself. So what I encourage my clients is eat when you're hungry and don't eat till you're full, because it takes 20 minutes for your brain to register that you're full, and by then you've eaten too much. So you don't want to stretch the stomach. Stretching the stomach, your stomach's a muscle, it actually needs to contract to break down the food. And if it's too full, that food just sits there, and it sits there and it sits there and it ferments. And that is what can lead to gas, bloating, stomach pain, fatigue, because it's just sitting there. Your body's not absorbing the nutrition properly. It slows down digestion. What is the best for your intestinal tract, which is 22 feet long and it's very narrow, is small portions that are balanced with the proper amounts of protein, fats, and fiber, at least 4 to 5 small meals a day. Some days you need 3. Some days you need 4 or 5, depending on how active you are. And instead of snacking, have a 16-ounce glass of water in between meals. You will feel so much better and your nervous system will thank you. If you're snacking, it's actually because your nervous system is dysregulated.
Yeah, and I heard that it's basically you need hydration. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah, that's
Yes.
better too. And
Your
then
brain
there's,
doesn't know.
yeah,
Your
your
brain
brain
doesn't
doesn't
know the
know.
difference between hunger and thirst. So
Yeah,
people will just associate it with hunger, but people
you're
don't
just
realize
thirsty.
you're just thirsty. Drink water first. Drink a glass of water first. See if you're still hungry.
And I like how you said don't give yourself 20 minutes after eating to make sure, because like I read somewhere there's like a Chinese, I don't know what it is, but like they only eat until like 80% full
That's right.
because your brain is still processing it, right? Like you said, and it takes
Well,
20
yeah.
minutes. Yeah.
Your brain has to figure out what you just ate. Did you
Yeah.
eat a fat, a carb, a protein, or a blend of everything? And your body has to secrete the appropriate enzymes.
That
There's
makes
a lot
sense.
going on.
Yeah. Okay, so any supplements someone can take if they're facing
So
stress?
absolutely. So there's a lot, and I actually love what Nature Sunshine has. I get a lot of my clients on Serenity. So kind of getting ahead of the stress. So when they first wake up, they take one Serenity, and that just really regulates the nervous system. I'll have a lot of individuals, men and women, taking passion flower throughout the day, and that is amazing for your nervous system. Taking a essential liquid mineral blend and making sure that you are taking your minerals when you're relaxed so that you're not
Okay.
peeing them out. You want to actually absorb them. Eating, drinking, and taking supplements should never be rushed. And there should never be any bad talk at dinner time. So if someone had a bad day, then address it an hour after digesting. Don't address a bad day during mealtime because you could jack up the nervous system and now no one's digesting their food properly, right? So
Yeah, because the
I
pH
always
changes.
that's right,
I'm not
right?
paying
So,
attention.
yes. So, keeping dinner time pleasant
Mhm.
and anything that needs to be addressed can be addressed an hour after dinner. Little things like that go a long way. Not being in front of your screen. So, eating in front of the TV or your phone, not a good idea. It actually stresses your nervous system. And remember, you don't want to be in fight or flight when you're eating, drinking, or taking supplements. You want to get the most out of those three variables. And when you are chronically stressed as well, the other things, so I love Serenity, I love ashwagandha, but you can only take it 6 months at a time. So make sure that you are rotating it, and it's not for everybody. Some people can have an opposite effect. So some people prefer it in the morning, some people prefer it in the evening. So just make sure that you are taking a supplement that aligns with you. You can do muscle testing or work with a professional. I absolutely love the Herbal Calm. I love the HVP, which has hops, valerian, and passion flower. People don't realize, but hops is extremely beneficial for your liver, your nervous system. And so that's why, sometimes men will come home from work and have a beer, right? It's
Oh, that
not
makes sense.
entirely terrible because of the hops,
Mhm.
but obviously there's other things in there that is not desirable to the body. But taking hops is amazing for your nervous system, and I really like what Nature Sunshine has for that. And really supporting your adrenals. The adrenal support product, I've been taking that, on and off for a while, and that is amazing. And My Immune Defense, which has your mushroom blend, which is going to regulate your nervous system. Those are adaptogens. Remember, you want clean energy. You don't want fight or flight energy. Fight or flight energy is what causes chronic tension and stress and oxidative stress in the body. That's not what you want. You want clean energy coming from the mitochondria. The mitochondria operates at minus 22 millivoltage. So you need to be drinking really good quality water, taking minerals, eating balanced meals, and learning to have boundaries with yourself, with your kids, with work, with your technology at bedtime, right? So
Yes.
your body is wired to go to bed when the sun goes down and get up when the sun goes up.
Well,
And if we
yeah.
start creating better habits and a better discipline with ourselves, and if you can't discipline with your food or with your cravings or with your television or with other habits that you have, or going to the gym or going for a walk or stretching, if you can't create that discipline, It's probably because your nervous system is screaming at you.
Is there anything else you would like to share with the listeners that we didn't talk about?
One thing that's really fascinating is your gut brain connection. You have 100 trillion gut bugs. And when they're in alignment with your nervous system, because you have more neurons in your gut than in your brain, when they're in alignment, then you actually have less candida, less parasites, less fungus, less mold, less IBS, regardless of diet.
Oh, wow.
That is interesting.
That's very fascinating.
So
It's
you will,
crazy how
it's
your
crazy.
gut health controls so many things.
It controls your mood. It controls your absorption, detoxification, your pH. It controls all 11 body system optimization. It controls your joints. It controls your bowel movements. It controls your serotonin, which is a precursor for melatonin to get into your REM cycles. It controls mental health to fight off bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety. The list goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And what people don't realize is that if you don't regulate your nervous system, you can still have gut issues with a perfect diet. I've had so many clients where they eat a meal prep. So they have the same foods, the same meal plan all the time. And I actually see this a lot with clients where there's always one meal every once in a while where it doesn't sit with them, but they eat it every day. And what we've discovered when we did some scans and stuff is that when they're on their lunch break at work, they don't want to be there. So they're eating in a stressful state and they're getting bombarded. Yeah. So they're actually being bombarded by their coworkers while they're trying to eat their lunch. And so the days that they are being interrupted and there's responsibility, their cortisol, their adrenaline goes up, their intestines tighten, and they get bloated and they don't digest it properly, or they'll get diarrhea or things like that. And then the days that they're eating in their car, listening to some relaxing music, maybe starting off with a 10-minute nap, closing their eyes, doing some breath work, and then they eat that meal, no bloating.
Oh, wow. That is fascinating.
Nervous system first.
Yeah, no one ever connects those two together. Like,
Yep.
I've never connected, like in my own daily life, like my
Yeah.
nervous system and my gut health. Because we
Yep.
always like looked them at two different things, but everything's connected in our body.
Yeah,
And
how you hold water. So like water retention has everything to do with nervous system, weight gain, tension in the body, joint pain. In Chinese medicine, your left side is your relationship with yourself and your right side is your relationship with others. Take a look at how many injuries someone has had and ask them what side their injuries are on. All my injuries are on my left side. And in Chinese medicine with iridology, your left side is everything you've genetically inherited from mom and right side is from dad. And you can look at all the different pigments and markers in those systems and you can see what you've inherited. But remember, you're as strong as your weakest link. And the more you know, the more you can correct or the more you can strengthen. And I'm all about strengthening at the cellular level, but understanding what those weaknesses are so that you can strengthen them.
wow, that was fascinating.
Pretty
That
cool.
was awesome. That was so cool. Yes, it was. Thank you so much for this eye-opening conversation. And I think the biggest takeaway is that chronic stress is not something we just have to push through, especially for women over 40s. Our bodies are changing and we need different kind of support, a different pace. We need to think about ourselves, a different level of care. Self-care is not selfish. It's good for us. And thank you so much, Ariel. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and helping us better understand what's really going on beneath the surface. And everyone listening, if this episode resonated with you, share it with another woman in your life who might need to hear this. Until we meet again, thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you, Ariel.
Thank you.